Hiya. So I read 2 books in the past 2 weeks, like fully read and finished them, and that hasn't happened in such a long time. I'm really happy with it. And yep, I haven't finished a book in months, and that's really sad to me as an English student. But I finished The Road. I started reading it a while ago, a couple of weeks ago, and then one night I decided I'm gonna finish it this weekend, and I just really got into it and I couldn't put it down. I think, well, The Road is about a man and his son in this post-apocalyptic world, and they're just travelling along this road and trying to find food and shelter and, fuel. Do they do that? It's really good if you like dystopia but want to see a less fantasy side of dystopia. I think a lot of contemporary dystopia has fantasy elements like sci-fi and stuff like that, which means that we're used to something different, and this is a lot more human. It's based on human nature, really. It's horrible. It's a really good book, but it's horrible. It's descriptions of horrible things like cannibals and people being locked in a basement for and by the cannibals. The bad guys, the boy calls them bad guys, and they have slaves that are tied to this cart that they're with, and the women are pregnant, and it's like, they did. Someone eats a baby at one point. It's got lots of horrible things in it, but it's so good. And I was really mixed about this book for a long time because I didn't like the things that were in it, but I was enjoying reading it. I think it was a bit difficult to get into because of how it's written. There's no punctuation apart from full stops, so there's no indication if or who is speaking. That's not a sentence. It's not exactly clear who is speaking, if they are speaking, if they're thinking, or what's happening, so it can be a bit confusing, and it took me a while to get into it, but I did start watching the film. It's got Viggo something, he's from Lord of the Rings. He's in it, he plays the man, obviously. Charlize Theron plays the mum, who don't get attached to the mum. You don't even get attached to the mum, so there's no point in saying that. It's just about father and son, and I think that's really nice, because a lot of the dystopias that we have at the moment, they're not really about families or father and son. They're mainly teenage girls. There's a lot of young adults. Oh, hello, Post-it. I wouldn't recommend it unless you were interested in post-apocalyptic rather than typical dystopian, because it's bleak and it's not uplifting at all. And I finished it and I was just staring. It left me a little bit hopeless when I put it down. I couldn't put it down until I finished it, so I was up until like maybe 1 or something, just trying to get it finished, trying to get through it all, because I didn't want to put it down. But then I was just completely despondent and depressed, so I just had to go to sleep. The next book that I read was A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. I was on Twitter, and then he tweeted the trailer and he was like dead excited about it. So I watched the trailer and I knew what it was about because I already had it on my shelf, and I knew that it was being made into a film. So I thought, oh, I'll look that up. And I think I tried starting it, but I just couldn't get into it, or I had other things to read. But this is about Connor. He's 13 years old and he meets a monster in his dreams, or not in his dreams, and he just has to deal with that. He has to deal with his mum. His mum has cancer and her treatments aren't working, so they've got to deal with that. He's got his grandma coming. He doesn't want to live with his grandma, but he's going to have to. His dad comes over. This hit me in ways I didn't expect, and I was just like, I get it, Connor. I've been there. Sucks. It's not good at all. I didn't have a monster. I didn't have Liam Neeson like grabbing me out my window. The monster doesn't look like Liam Neeson. That would be strange, and I don't think that Liam Neeson would be that happy about it. The monster is played by Liam Neeson in the film. The film looks phenomenal. It looks really, really good, and I'm really excited to go and see it. But I would really recommend this. I think if you just want something that's quite easy to read but at the same time completely horrible and depressing. I know that that's not a lot, really, compared to some other booktubers, but I'm pleased with what I read. I think it was really fun. I enjoyed reading it, and it's kind of got me out of my reading slump, I think, because I've been reading a lot of non-fiction lately. So it's kind of stale. Not that it's not interesting, it's just that it's hard to get through. So I started reading The Wrath and the Dawn. I'm only a little bit into that, but so far it's really good. Forgot that it was fantasy, so it's got, you know, when you know at the beginning of fantasy where it's like, oh, there's so many characters and there's a map and there's a glossary. I'm just like, oh. So I'm really happy to be out of my reading slump, if that's what this was. And yep, this is what I read. So hopefully I'll read more and have more videos to put up at some point. I don't know. Yeah, I'm never gonna end a video well.